I wasn't able to use my shoulder, wasn't able to blow dry my hair, tasks that you really take for granted. Driving my car, even a short distance from my home, presented really painful to me to the point where I just was exhausted. Couldn't do any exercise. I was really, an avid, runner before, hiker. Couldn't do anything like that. Couldn't cook. So even just using, I'm right-handed, so working on the computer was extremely painful.
So I'm here today and we're discussing the treatment that she received for a painful right shoulder. She had difficulty even moving it. She also was suffering from postherpetic neuralgia, which actually seemed to start the whole process. And this was of the cervical nerves, probably around C5, C6. The herpes zoster climbed over her shoulder and her scapula. Is that what it presented that way?
Yeah, so it presented in this area in 2019, and then it went onto my shoulder.
So once that herpes zoster cleared up, she continued to have pain going down the nerves in these general areas. And she also had a fall and injured your spine. How'd that happen?
So that had been several years prior.
Okay.
And so I think what may have happened was it exacerbated that pain. And so I had 2 herniated discs, C5 to C7. And so the shingles had hit nerve C6 here.
Got it. So you had this continuous pain, and
Yes.
the pain was severe enough to interfere with your sleep. It interfered with your functionality of the right arm. And tell me how many doctors that you visited over this period of time, 2 years at least, that you had this severe pain. And tell us how they wanted to treat you and what medications perhaps you went on to.
Yeah, so I had seen approximately 18 doctors during this 2-year time frame, and postherpetic neuralgia was the biggest problem I had. These doctors had me on several different medications, so they, really were just going by, the traditional, book of the medicine of let's try this one and that one, and when none of them worked, they presented 4 different options of what I could do. One of them was basically called a dorsal root ganglion, where they would just cut the nerve, so I wouldn't have any use of this arm, essentially. That solution was, we'll just cut off the pain, and then you won't have the pain, but you won't be able to use your arm, which sounded ridiculous to me. The other one was actually even worse to me, where they would go into my spine and then put in a spinal stimulator, which then I'd have to carry around a battery pack and be able to adjust that stimulator throughout the day in order to be able to help the reduce or increase the pain as it occurred. So that was another option. Then the other one was a surgery where they would fuse the spine to take away the pain, thinking it would help the nerve pain here, and then help fuse the 2 vertebrae with the herniated discs, thinking that would alleviate the spine pain and then take away the C6 pain. And then the other option was to go in, do an incision in my spine, go in with this camera, and then a needle, and do an injection of a steroid. So very invasive procedures with no guarantee of any results. And I'm 48 right now, so at this point in life, definitely extremely scary options that would not produce any effects that could end up making me worse, I think.
So what happened after the first treatment to the shoulder?
Yeah, so after the first treatment, I was really blown away by the positive results. So during the time prior to the first treatment, I literally couldn't move my shoulder beyond this point. So it was stuck like this. So this was prior to the first treatment. After the first treatment, I literally was able to move it straight up like this. And then as we progressed through the treatments, I was able to continue not only to move it up, but to then do even more things, such as being able to drive to the treatment center. So from where my home is, the treatment center is 45 minutes. So as time went on, not only was I able to drive here and drive home, but to be able to do errands and not to be able to have that electric pain. So with my condition, it was constant electric pain that would shoot up and down my arm, affecting doing things as going to the grocery store, going to get gas in my car. So simple daily activities were really, inhibited from this type of pain. In addition to that, as the treatments went on, which I had 6 treatments in total, I haven't been having this nerve pain. So the pain has really dissipated. Today's the first time in almost 2 years I've actually been able to blow dry my hair. I've had to let it air dry up for 2 years, which is something huge for me. I used to be able to blow dry my hair every day, and so just that motion of being able to do that before, I wasn't able to literally be able to just use that motion with a hairbrush. It was extremely painful. So things that you would just take for granted that you don't even think about, using my arm to just write or type on the computer, texting, things of that nature, really just lit up my arm in excruciating pain before.
And we have to admit that we did also treat the spine one time.
Yeah.
And we treated that because at the time we were having kind of a mixed combination of pain, whatever, and I've treated myself to the spine before, and I know how fast it can work. And so that spine problem disappeared almost after the first time. So we've elected not to treat it any further at this point, and we can watch that. And if it starts to come back, we can treat that again as a possibility. But other than that, your medications now are being tapered off. There's some of them, they have to be tapered over time.
I've already begun moving down with those medications, which has been great. A lot of those medications, because of this one medication, had to be added to another. Because of the stress of this, I had a lot of anxiety, and then I developed sleeping problems because with pain, you have trouble sleeping. And then depression, comes with chronic pain. Those two are very much connected. So a lot of chronic pain sufferers have severe depression because you're scared. Will you be continuing with your life on the same course that you were? Will you be able to do things? So I'm feeling very hopeful now. Prior to this, I wasn't on medications. I was very much into natural, homeopathic, just taking vitamins. So I'm feeling very hopeful. Having, worked with Dr. H, it's just amazing that, I'm able to get my life back, and I'm looking forward to, the coming months of what I'll be able to do. Getting back into working out and exercising. I've already begun, using weights. So I'm starting out with just small weights and being able to build up this muscle, because it had been just, I've been using like a sling. I've been using hot and heat cold pads on my shoulders, which I haven't had to use as of these treatments. So that's been good. But the muscle had been very much just kind of
atrophy.
Yeah, atrophy. So that's going to be, taking some time.
Okay, so we're back today. We forgot to discuss her medications. She had seen maybe up to 18 physicians in the past 2 years. And with your pain currently in your shoulder and in your spine area, how much medications are you on currently, and how much have you been on over the past years?
So right now for the pain, I'm on about 4 different medications. So right now they have me from a pain standpoint because none of the traditional medications, which are typically gabapentin, which didn't work for me. Vicodin didn't work for me. They had me on Oxycontin, which didn't work. They also had me try Grelise, which is a longer acting type of anti-inflammatory. They had me on Horizont, which is another medication that's supposed to help. Prednisone, which is a steroid. Literally, I've probably tried about 30 medications. I either had allergic reactions to them or they didn't help with the pain. So I'm currently on Topamax, which is typically for migraines and an anti-seizure medication, and I'm on 125 milligrams of that. I'm also on Lamictal, which is typically another medication that is typically for a mood stabilizer, but also for migraines or anti-seizure. And they have me on 350 milligrams of that. That's supposed to help from a neurological standpoint to help cut off the pain from the brain chemistry. It's supposed to help kind of change your nerve neurologically to help your brain kind of think that you're not in pain. And then I'm on 30 milligrams a day of Percocet. In addition to that, I'm also on Ambien for sleep, as well as Xanax to help from an anxiety standpoint. And I've probably forgotten another few. So it's a lot. And prior, I should mention, to this pain, I was on no medication.